Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Sports with Monga. And we are back with a banger. I don't know you guys. I have enjoyed the Hungarian Grand Prix. It was the most dull event, which was electrifying. It just came alive, and at the end with 19 or 20 laps to go. And McLaren wanted to start a podcast, apparently, on the driver feed on the radio. They were like, "Oh, please." Think about the team. Think about what will happen. What? How has this happened? How has McLaren, who has won the Hungarian Grand Prix, and Oscar Piastri getting his first victory as a Formula One driver, messed it up royally still? So they have messed it up, guys. How have they messed it up? They've basically now made it impossible for Norris or Oscar to trust their race engineers, because they don't know if somebody will give the position back. So next time they'll be like, okay, I'm not going to give the position. Don't ask me to give the position back, and don't start to blackmail me on radio. But Oscar Piastri will be like, I did everything right. I made no step. You undercut me to get to secure the position. You're playing safe. It was not me who asked you to pit Lando before me. Absolute crazy scenes. But this race just came alive with everything, because it was a clear streamroller from Oscar Piastri. He was the best there. First time winner. It's done. There's a lot to talk about, guys. So if you're watching for the first time, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button if you like Formula One and you love to get more content coming in from me. But these are your winners. These are your final podium finishes. Oscar Piastri, number 1. He gets his first Formula One win. Lando Norris P2, and Sir Lewis Hamilton. 200 race wins, or on 200 podium finishes, guys. Come on. The guy's a legend, absolute legend. Oscar Piastri's first Formula One race done in the dust. He's done it, and McLaren has basically done what they wanted to prove, that they will be able to get both of their drivers in the winning positions, and both of their drivers have actually won. So that's an interesting point as well. Both of the drivers have won now a race, and it's ended Oscar Piastri, P1, Lando Norris, who gave the position on the stretch after like talking for almost like 8-10 laps. And then Oscar Piastri, he's not saying anything. And then he comes on and says, guys, 5 more laps left. I don't know when you want to switch. This has been absolutely mad. And then he switches, and, it completely. But then Lando Norris was like, okay, I'm not going to say anything. Lewis Hamilton, car number 44, gets the P3, gets the job done. Charles Leclerc P4, Max Verstappen P5. It was a collision. It was interesting. Max Verstappen he was angry. Like literally JP or Gianpiero Lambiase had to call him childish. He's like, come on, guys, what do you want me to do here? He basically said, what do you want me to do here? Tell me. Like, do you want me to start talking or going over other drivers? This is childish. He basically just called him childish, like plain simple, nothing else. He just called him childish, like on team radio, GP. Max Verstappen was like literally cribbing about everything, guys, and it was like, oh my god, what is happening here? Lots to get into there. Max Verstappen P5, Carlos Sainz P6. Sergio Perez, P7, George Russell, P8 behind him. Yuki Tsunoda, the RB Cash App, RB Visa Cash App team finishing P9. Lance Stroll, from one of the only Aston Martin, finishing in the points. 11 for Fernando Alonso. Daniel Ricciardo out of points with P12. Alex Albon, 14, with Kevin Magnussen in 15. Valtteri Bottas in 16, Logan Sargent is 2nd, Williams in 17. 18th of Esteban Ocon, 19th of Zhou Guanyu, and did not finish was Pierre Gasly. I think there are a couple of moments in that entire race. Let's get into that. The first, of course, is Max Verstappen. Let us start of the race. The start of the race, Oscar Piastri gets a great launch, and he gets ahead of Lando Norris. So there is no... And they go 3 abreast in turn 1. That never works. 3 drivers can't make that corner. Oscar Piastri on the inside, Lando Norris in the middle, and Max Verstappen is trying to go on the outside. So if Lando Norris doesn't turn or doesn't go straight, he gets into Oscar Piastri, but he goes straight, pushes Max Verstappen out. Max Verstappen gains an advantage, comes back from the outside, takes the lead, gets an advantage, gets a good slipstream, takes over McLaren as well. And then the first radio messages start. Oscar Piastri is in the lead. Behind him is Max Verstappen, and Lando Norris is behind Max Verstappen. And that's where the questions start. Like, come on, he needs to give, like, that's what Lando Norris says. Like, he needs to give this back. He's gained an advantage from an outside position. And then Max Verstappen says, he pushed me off. He could push me off. And it was interesting that GP kind of comes on radio and says, our recommendation is you give that position back. It's a long race ahead. And he just whines about it, like, okay, now we are not allowed to race. It's okay to kind of push a car outside the track. It doesn't matter and stuff and so on. And this is typical Max Verstappen. When he's not in a podium position, when he's not winning, he starts to crib about a lot of things, but he knows he doesn't have the fast car. Like he won Hungary last year with 33 seconds, guys. There was a 33-second gap. That's like a huge gap. They were doing 120, 115, 123s at the end of it, or 138s at the end of it. But that's the difference. That's what kind of causes the difference eventually. And that's an interesting moment to understand. Like Max Verstappen, that's the first moment where he kind of starts to get real, and then he gives them the lead. McLaren passes back, but he's close. Max Verstappen never could overtake. He never overtook anybody today. He was like nursing his tires. They were on the mediums. People had sat on the softs. They were dropping off. They went in the hards. Early pit stop. Ricciardo was completely screwed by his strategy. I don't know why in lap 8 he is on softs. Why did you put him anyway? Why did you put him on hards? His race was done, over. He was never going to make that comeback ever. But that's the first moment in the race that starts happening. The interesting part starts to play around when Lando Norris pits. Oscar Piastri stays and he has a buffer. It's a good buffer, and it's all going smooth sailing. Lewis Hamilton is on fresher tires. Max Verstappen gets on a fresher tire. It's a battle for third position between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. They go at each other a couple of times. One time Max Verstappen gets ahead, but cooks himself in the corner, overdrives and can't stop the car. Lewis Hamilton takes back the lead, and it's kind of, again, trying to get the momentum. Closer stage of the race is he moves the pass on turn 1, but he touches him. Max Verstappen car is hoisted up in the air, but didn't crash and didn't stop. But that's interesting that both Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen both continue the race. But then, and there was he was like, it's a slam dunk. He turned into me, and everybody knew, Max was pushing too hard, and there was no way. Max was completely angry. He was like, we have to do things better, blah, blah, blah. But then everybody's working hard. We can't continue like this and stuff and so on. But this is what happens. This is the pressure on Max Verstappen. This is the pressure on Red Bull right now. Because as you see, this is what happens when you have a team who is now banging against you. McLaren are beating Red Bull on pure pace. There is no safety car that's helping. There is nothing helping them. It's pure pace. And that's an interesting dynamic. Piastri wins Hungarian Grand Prix as Norris belatedly hands back lead in McLaren intra-team drama. This is the headlines, guys. This is what I didn't want for Oscar Piastri, who fought and did an amazing job to get everybody's talking about what Lando Norris did and didn't do. They made Lando Norris look like a villain. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri can't enjoy his win because he'll be like, oh, he handed him the win. He didn't win fair and square. It was team orders. But that's interesting by how you mess it up, McLaren. And this is how you messed it up again. Oscar Piastri has taken his debut Grand Prix victory in Hungary after an intra-team battle played out with McLaren teammate Lando Norris belatedly responding to an order to hand back the lead to the Australian, who had lost out due to team's pit stop strategy, and that's an important point. After the duo went 3 abreast with the Red Bull's Max Verstappen off the line, Piastri emerged as a leader into turn 1, from there led much of the Grand Prix. However, when Norris was pitted first during the second round of pit stops, seemingly to cover off Lewis Hamilton behind, the Briton was the one to emerge ahead. This prompted the team to make several calls to Norris. It was very interesting that it was almost like they were blackmailing that, like, okay, think about Oscar's face tomorrow. Think about what Oscar's mom will tweet. Norris, please, team, battle, team. He is a fucking driver. He is there to win. He's not there to make friends. This is what's the difference between Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel did to Mark Webber. He basically said, I'm here to win. I will win this Grand Prix and I will deal with the consequences later. If you want to sack me, but I'm here to win and I will prevail. Lando Norris eventually gives the track position back. Michael Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton, and Sebastian Vettel have not done it previously when they've been asked to give the position back. They were like, I'm not doing this. Max Verstappen has categorically said, no, I'm not helping my teammate. This has happened. And this prompted, and there was a discussion. There was almost like a discussion going on live on air, live on the world feed. I'm sure Drive to Survive's next year's teaser will have this for sure. Like, where do you want me to write it? Like, for sure, this is the banger season. This is the banger episode for Drive to Survive. This has Hungarian Grand Prix is going to be so much in so many episodes next year, for sure. That's in my mind, that's for sure happening. This prompted the team to take several calls to Norris to give back the position to his fellow McLaren driver, and ordered that he seemed reluctant to follow for many laps. However, on lap 68 of 70, Norris slowed down and allowed Piastri to pass. 68. Can you imagine? They started talking to him about from 58 laps, because then they were secured. Everything was done. They were like, okay, now it's secured. The gap was 3 seconds. They kept, and Norris was like, okay, I can't risk let Oscar come near me. Like, I don't want to kind of stop for him. Like, I can't be like sitting on the sides and then he kind of then pass, like Lewis Hamilton will pass me. And he's like, okay, they were like, okay, but then will you give him the lead? Will you give him please think of the team. Think, I'm fighting for you. I'm fighting for you. I'm on your side. I'm on your. Oh my God, that driver is driving a car at 300 kilometers per hour, 323. And that track doesn't stop turning. You don't stop turning in that track. But this guy is supposed to help this guy in this race. And that's an interesting thing. And that's all due to this guy is supposed to help this guy. Why? Just take it on pure merit. Yeah. Norris slowed down and allowed Piastri to pass. The 23-year-old went on to take the win 2 seconds up the road from Norris. Lewis Hamilton, meanwhile, claimed the final position for third for Mercedes after facing drama of his own after contact with Max Verstappen during the late race battle. Charles Leclerc was fourth for Ferrari, while Verstappen dropped down to fifth, and also will be investigated by the stewards for his incident. That incident has been investigated and there is no further action. It was never going to be like they're going to reprimand Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton, because Max Verstappen can't be reprimanded. He has already lost. He was pushing for the podium. Now he's fifth. He's lost enough points, so you can't kind of give him a penalty. And Lewis Hamilton had nothing to do. Like, he couldn't have done anything. He was right on the corner. It was his corner to turn in. Max Verstappen is right there, overcooks the corner, tries to move, but he can't. Like, it touches the front wing, and his tire is like up in the air. But it's interesting that none of their cars kind of got damaged. Both of the cars were still running perfectly well, and that's an interesting thing for me. Charles Leclerc was fourth, while Verstappen dropped down to fifth and also been investigated. As said, that investigation is over. Ferrari's Carlos Sainz followed in sixth, ahead of Red Bull of Sergio Perez, who made ground from his P16 starting position. George Russell also took points after starting P17, having crossed P8. RB's Yuki Tsunoda and Aston Martin's Lance Stroll completed the top 10. Fernando just missed on P11 for Aston Martin, ahead of Daniel Ricciardo, who had somewhat a disappointing day in RB after lining up P9 on the grid. Nico Hülkenberg took P13 in the Haas, while Alex Albon and followed Williams in 14th, and Kevin Magnussen put his Haas into 15th. Kick Sauber's search for points continues as Valtteri Bottas ended his day P16, with Williams' Logan Sargent behind in P17. Alpine's tough weekend also endured Esteban Ocon P18, and with Kick Sauber's Zhou Yu was the final classified finisher in P19. Pierre Gasly became the sole retiree after suffering a suspected hydraulic leak in the Alpine. That's been a race. It's been a very interesting race. Some pointers to definitely talk about. I would say Ferrari was completely anonymous. Like nobody knew where they were, what was happening. It was interesting that Sainz lost almost 3 or 2 positions or 4 positions very early in the start of the race. The Aston Martin had taken over him. Lewis Hamilton had taken off. And that's interesting to kind of in the post race media pen. He said, I'm going to look into like why I lost 3 positions, like 2 positions. Was it like a bad procedure or what needs to happen there? Sergio Perez, of course, and George Russell both like trying to concede and doing the good job for them. It was interesting that Sergio Perez was so sketchy, or like so kind of on the edge on the starting laps. We knew that he doesn't want to kind of end into another miserable thing, where like another misery for him where he doesn't finish even, because the misery is done. Like he started P16 from a Red Bull perspective. That's a lot of points lost in the constructors, and I'll get into the constructors numbers now. That it's the closest that we have seen in a while, quite a while now. But Sergio Perez did enough to get ahead of George Russell and stayed there in P7. George Russell P8. Again, like a lost race. He was never going to go for the win unless there was like crazy safety cars. And it was interesting. It was no safety car, no red flags, which has been the cause of the day. Like even in qualifying, we saw 3 people crashing, but everybody kind of, I think the weather also played its part because it was completely bone dry. Everybody was on the hards. People were like doing the soft, medium, hard. Some teams did medium, hard, medium. Some teams have also like for 3 like soft, hard, medium, and then went to medium. And that's interesting as well, but there was like nothing George Russell could do. Yuki Tsunoda stayed in the best he could, P9, from his crash in qualifying. Of course, but the main problem was Daniel Ricciardo. I think Daniel Ricciardo starting P9 had the best strategy. Like, I don't know why they started him on the softs. He could have started, he could have went a little bit longer, moved into the hard, but then he lost so much track position, and then it's very hard to overtake because it's like always turning. The track is always turning, like 9 right-handers and 7 left-handers. So it's pretty much hard to kind of come back and get track position. But then I think even in the post media pen, he was like, I have no idea what the hell happened here. And that's what he was saying exactly, right? Even in the media pen, he was pretty vehemently saying, what the hell is happening here? But yeah, not a good day at all for Daniel Ricciardo there. But then pretty bad day for Fernando Alonso. He was like, what the hell? Just whatever, just leave me alone. He was like, he is unhappy in that car. He is not happy in that car right now. Nico Hülkenberg, Kevin Magnussen, is out of the Formula One, but then he felt that, that's the best they could do. Williams, of course, have been struggling. The straight line pace and everything that we felt, this is like a hard track for them. Belgium next. Let's see what that kind of brings. Kick Sauber trying to score the first points, but nothing still. Completely abyss. They brought some new upgrades. Valtteri Bottas finishing 16th, but no change in fortunes for Zhou Yu, who finished P19. Alpine, they're just a misnomer. They're misfiring on so many elements right now that I feel like that team needs somebody new to kind of shake it up. But then they're such a legacy brand. They have so many like inertia inside of it. You could see Williams, right? Williams is doing the same thing, but Alpine has like really down, like they've just completely slumped to a different low right now. And their only driver who's basically going to stay with them, Pierre Gasly, doesn't have a reliable car. What can he do about it? But yeah, that's been a very interesting race. Guys, if you enjoyed this, thanks for watching till now. And we're just going to get into constructor and drivers. But then I just want to take a moment. Oscar Piastri has won his first Grand Prix. All the Australians who are waking up now to kind of watch this has happened. And Aussie, oi, has won a race. Just and maybe you know him, maybe you don't follow Formula One, but then I know the Australian Grand Prix will be a banger next year because you have a race winner, so you have something to brag about that other countries don't, and then you will have possibly have Liam Lawson as well. So most Aussie or Aussie New Zealand drivers in on the grid. Okay. A lot of storylines coming out right now. Piastri basically admits that the team orders made him a little bit nervous, and it reflects that it was a very special maiden win in Hungary. Lando Norris saying circumstance or like thinking about it. He basically was like, I know it was pretty interesting that Lando Norris has opened up about what he was thinking, but Oscar Piastri overtook him. And in the later stage of the races, and with the Briton admitting that it was tough, and he knew he had to do what was right after Piastri. And it was very interesting in his post race he's basically said, like, I'm happy for the team. I don't know when our last 1-2 was, but probably over 10 years ago. And that means a lot. But he said, just super happy. I'm happy for Oscar too. I know he won Qatar in the sprint last year, but I think he'll also say that this was a lot more than a sprint win. His first proper win, it's a special moment. So I'm happy for him, for the whole team. An incredible weekend for us all. Super happy. It's tough, but I know the Oscars, and people said, like, when pushed to, like, how difficult was it to choose, because it was his choice. If he had decided not to give Oscar the place back, Lando Norris would be winning this race. He would have a much closer gap to Max Verstappen than 7 points, right? 7 points is what's the difference between the first and the second. 18 for second and 25 for the first. But then that matters eventually. Those numbers do actually add up. And that's as he said, when pushed as to how the decision making was hard, he said it's tough. And that was interesting. I love this about Lando. He's very honest. Like, he's not filtered. There's no PR bullshit coming through. It's tough, but I know what Oscar has done for me in the past. I think this is a little different, but yeah, at the same time, I got told to let him pass, and I did. It's always tough when you're fighting for a win, and a win means so much to me and also to him. Yeah, I just had to try put myself in his shoes and understand that way. Every driver is selfish, and you have to be selfish in this game, but you are just thinking of your own benefits. You're only thinking of the good things. But of course, I put myself in a shoe and I realized I had to do what was right. And this is like, he's going to come up like a hero as well after this. It's not going to be like all bad, but then Oscar Piastri has to give him a big, but then he's done a good job for him. Oscar Piastri has been a sacrificial lamb. He has messed up, like Miami once, and even all these races, like Max Verstappen could have only fought with Lando Norris because Oscar Piastri was there in the middle. He made it a little hard, and that's what 2-to-1 ratio. That's why I'm saying McLaren will kind of overtake Max Verstappen or Red Bull in the constructor if this continues and Sergio Perez is nowhere. Okay, guys. Let's get into the F1 drivers 2024. Where are we with the drivers, constructors? McLaren fans, Oscar Piastri fans, the Aussie fans, get in the comment section below. Let me know what do you think. Max Verstappen fans, the Dutch fans, I'm really pleading you right now. I think it is interesting to note, do you still feel Max Verstappen will stay in Red Bull if this is a trajectory of the development of this car? Or is he sure, or are you sure that this is the time that he starts to kind of look at other options and possibly Mercedes is one of them? Let me know in the comment section below, guys. Let's get into F1 drivers. Look, what's the point? Sorry, 265 for Max Verstappen, 189 points. So he still has a very comfortable lead. It's not a huge, it's less than 100 points. So that's a first starting point. Last year, like, he had gone away, bye-bye. He was like, okay, see you never. I don't care about this. So he is now 76, if my math is correct. 76 points, or 76 points ahead of Lando Norris. 76 is 3 race wins. Lando and Max Verstappen DNFs 3 races. That's game over. that's what we have. Charles Leclerc, 162 P3 right now. 50, yeah, I think it's less than 50, 35 points, 37 points behind Norris, 154 for Carlos Sainz, who's 8 points behind Leclerc. Oscar Piastri, 149, 5 points behind Carlos Sainz. Lewis Hamilton, 125, takes over Sergio Perez for 6th position. 7th position, 124 for Sergio Perez. Russell, 116, 9 points behind, or 8 points behind Sergio Perez. Then there's a big gap, 45 for Alonso, Stroll, 24, Hulkenberg, 22, Yuki Tsunoda 22, Daniel Ricciardo 11, Oli Behrman still 14th, ahead of Pierre Gasly, Kevin Magnussen, Alex Albon, Esteban Ocon, Zhou Guanyu, Logan Sargent, and Valtteri Bottas. Zhou Guanyu, Logan Sargent, and Bottas are still to score any points. That's the drivers, and let's get into the team standings. It is close, guys. It is 51 points between Red Bull and McLaren. So if next year in Belgium, if Perez and Max Verstappen don't score any points, it's going to be game on. 43 points is going to be like completely swing. It's 43 points if 1 and 2 again, 25 plus 18. That's 43 points. And that kind of makes them, the gap is 51 right now. So 8 points between 1 and 2. This is the excitement that I want. But 389 points for Red Bull, McLaren 338, Ferrari 322 points, 16 points behind McLaren, but there is no way Ferrari is catching them up. That's for sure. Mercedes 241, still a point, there's a big gap between Ferrari and Mercedes. So they enjoy P3. But it'll be important that Ferrari steps it up back up after the summer break. Aston Martin 69 with RB, comfortable. I think 69 is going to be comfortable for Aston Martin. RB is comfortable in 6th, 7th for Haas on 27, Alpine with 9, Williams with 4, and Kick Sauber still to score any points. So that's the wrap, guys. That's what's happened. We are heading to Belgium Grand Prix already, and we have seen a lot of things there, guys. We have seen Belgium is a very interesting, tricky race. A race on this weekend. It's a back-to-back. So this weekend, the coming weekend is going to be the race. I hope you've enjoyed this. I have enjoyed this race. It's been a long race. It was not like everybody was like managing tires and stuff. Only the interesting part came out when Lando Norris and they were like pleading, like, please let him go. I'm going to listen to that radio from chatter from McLaren again to kind of hear what actually, again, like he's won it. Like he's won the game. Oscar Piastri is P1. He's won his race, but then you made it bad. You've made it really bad. How have you messed this up? I don't get that. I don't get that, how McLaren has messed that up. But guys, let me know in the comments below what you think. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. And for all the returning subscribers, thanks. Give the support. Share it with your friends. Share it in the social medias as well, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.